I'm going to read a Scottish poem called The Sair Finger by Walter Wingate. If you're Scottish, then you'll very likely already know this poem because we had to learn it at school and it's quite famous here. But it is written in the Scots tongue though, so I'm going to put subtitles up so you can follow along if you're not from Scotland. And just to explain what's happening in this poem, there's a kid called John who gets a splinter in his finger. So he goes to his mom, Mom, look, I've got a sore finger. And the poem is what the mom says to John in response. And then in the last stanza, there's a younger brother who comes on the scene and she starts talking to him as well. So this is The Sair Finger by Walter Wingate. You've hurt your finger, poor wee man. Your pinky, dearie me. You just you had it that way till I get my specs and see. My, so it is, and there's a skelf. You dinna greet nae mair. See there, my needle's got into it. I'm sure that wasna sair. And new to market hail the morn, put on a wee bit saw, and tie a bonny hanky round, new there na, rin awa. Your finger sailing a your rogue, you're only letting on. Wheel then, see new, there you are, rowed up, the same as John. So what happens is that little Johnny comes to his mum with a splinter in his finger, and the mum very naturally starts to fuss over him. She shows him a lot of love and attention and compassion. She gets her glasses on and she manages to get that splinter out and she puts some salve on it, then she wraps it up in a handkerchief to bandage it. She basically gives him a lot of love and care and attention. Now, in the background, there's a younger brother though. At least it doesn't say that he's younger, but he's probably younger. But there's a brother anyway. And he's looking on and he's witnessing all of this. And he thinks to himself, I want some of that love and attention from mum. I want to be fussed over and be told that I'm a brave little man and all of that. So how do I get that love? How do I get that same attention from mum? I know what I'll do. I'll pretend that I've got a sore finger as well. Sure enough, the little brother goes up to the mum and says, look mum, me too, I've got a sore finger. Now the mum looks and sees that there's nothing really wrong with his finger, but because she wants to make him feel just as loved as his brother, she goes through the motions with him. She indulges him, basically. She does all the same things that she just did for John. She pretends to get the splinter out, she puts the salve on, she wraps it up to make him feel just as loved as his brother. Now, when I learned this poem in school, I thought it was just a funny little story about a sore finger. And to be honest, it may well be. But there's actually a deeper and a broader message to this poem about human nature in general. And the first broad message, the first big principle of this poem is that victims get love and compassion that ordinarily they would not get. If little Johnny didn't get that splinter in his finger, he would not have received all of that fussing and attention from his mum. For however long it lasted, maybe 10 or 20 minutes of love and attention, he wouldn't have got it. So that's the first thing, that victims get love and attention and compassion that otherwise they would not have had. And that in itself is addictive. Because if there's one thing that we all want more of in life, if there's one thing that we all can't get enough of, it's love. Now, the second message of the poem is that whenever someone gets love and compassion for being a genuine victim, there will always be others in the background looking on thinking, I want some of that. I want some of that love and attention and compassion. I want to be told that I'm brave and I want to get some limelight and feel that care and warmth from people. Therefore, I want to be a victim. And like the younger brother, they come along saying, me too, I'm a victim too. They want love, so they want to find a way to be a victim, because in our culture, victimhood is a reliable path to love. You see this mechanism happening on pretty much every big issue of the day. If we take the aptly named Me Too movement, for example, first of all, we had women speaking up who were genuine victims of awful things from the likes of Harvey Weinstein, genuine rape, abuse and all the rest, and rightly so. Society showed them compassion and love and support. They were given limelight to speak up, and that was all right and good. But then you had the false victims coming in behind them saying, me too. This group came in and claimed victimhood for very trivial things. They said they were a victim too because a man merely flirted badly with them once, or asked them on a date when they didn't want to, or the idea was even raised that looking at a woman in the workplace for more than 3 seconds was tantamount to sexual harassment. And so you got this wave of false victims coming in behind the genuine victims wanting to share in the benefits, the attention and support and compassion. And this mechanism happens pretty much every single time on every issue you can think of. I remember one time, and I probably shouldn't tell this story, but I'm going to anyway. I remember when I was around maybe 7 or 8 years old, I got a cold. Or it was something anyway. I had a temperature and I felt awful. So I told my mum and she said, well, if you've got a cold, then you shouldn't go to school today. Stay home, lie in bed and feel better. Now, that suited me just fine. So I did. I stayed off school and I lay in bed all day and I got fussed over and my mum kept on checking up on me and asking if there was anything that I needed. I was getting waited on hand and foot, getting made soup and everything. It was great. I was loving it. I thought this is so much better than going to school. Lying here in bed all cozy. This is the life for me. I don't want to get better. Now, of course, the next day came and I started to feel a little bit better, but still not well enough. Again, fine by me, brilliant, I'm loving this. Another day in bed getting treated like a king. Eventually though, and I can't remember what day it was, I did start to feel better. It was maybe the 3rd or 4th day, I don't know, I can't remember, but I woke up and I felt better and I was gutted about that. I didn't want to be. So when my mum asked that morning if I was feeling okay and wanted to go back to school, I lied. I put on a face and said, no, still feeling a bit bad, no, I can't make it. I was worried that she could tell I was putting it on, to be honest, but to my surprise, it went completely unchallenged and she just allowed me to stay in bed again. Now, the day after came, and by this time I was 100% fine, and I knew that I'd really be pushing it to go for another day off. But I was, in a manner of speaking, kind of addicted to this new life. So again, I put the face on and I went, no, oh no, I still can't go again today. But this time, I did push it too far. And I remember I was kind of shocked because she got angry and just said, you're fine, get up, go to school, you're fine. And you were fine yesterday as well. So all of this is just to emphasize that being a victim can be addictive because we get love, attention and compassion that otherwise we would not have had. And so even when we're not really victims, as weird as this sounds, it's possible to want to be. It's possible to pretend to be, and it's possible to grasp at tenuous reasons why we should be, even when we're not. And there's another thing. It's not just that we get love, attention, and compassion when we're a victim. It's also true that we are absolved of responsibility as well. And this is another hugely addictive advantage. Let's take this example. Imagine if someone is rude to you. You would think about that person, well, that's a rude person. They're not very nice. But then imagine someone leans over and says, he just lost his wife last week. Or he's a soldier just back from war and he just lost his best friend last week in battle. All of a sudden that news changes everything. Oh, I'm sorry, that's terrible news. Okay, yeah, I didn't realize, but I understand, it's okay. He's off the hook. Whatever rude behavior he just showed you, he is off the hook. Now, maybe he should be off the hook. Maybe if you've just lost your wife or your best friend, you should be given a bit of grace. In fact, you should be. However, you can see that to be absolved of all responsibility for your behavior like that is a very attractive thing, because now you can say anything. Now you can be rude, you can be aggressive, you can be antisocial, and as long as you're a victim, or as long as you're seen as a victim, society will let you off the hook. You effectively get carte blanche to behave however you want with no consequences. That is an attractive thing. That is a good reason to want to be a victim. And also, if you're not responsible for your behavior, if you can always blame how you are on this event or on that person, if it's their fault that I'm this way, and if it's that event that caused me to be like this, you never have to take responsibility for your character development or for your situation in life. You never have to confront your own failings, the things you could be doing better. You never have to develop or grow. People will just perpetually shower you with love, compassion, free stuff, never hold you to account because he's a victim. So this is another motivation why you get the genuine victims up front who deserve the grace, who deserve the slack and the absolution. But then you get the younger brothers or the false victims looking on thinking, I want me some of that. Me too, me too, me too. I'm a victim too. You know, if you look around at your life and it's not what you hoped it would be, and if it's a bit messy, if someone can come along and say, oh, but you're not to blame for any of that. It's them, it's that thing, it's the system. That's attractive to us because it boosts our self-esteem. It makes us feel better about ourselves. Oh, I'm not to blame for anything. It's just that I've been hard done by all of these evil people and systems around me. I like the sound of that. There was a time when Jesus met a sick man at the pool of Bethesda. The Bible says he met a man who'd been lying there for 38 years. When Jesus saw him and knew he had been ill for a long time, he asked him, "Would you like to get well?" Now, that seems like a foolish question. Surely Jesus, of course he would like to get well. Wouldn't he? Well, not necessarily. Jesus understood that some people, especially if they've been a victim for a long time, don't really want to get well because it's become their identity and they've got used to the perks. There are some people who don't want to lose their victimhood status if it means losing the compassion and love, and if it means taking on new responsibilities again. I think I'm actually just going to leave it there for now. I actually didn't intend for this to become a two-part video or anything like that, but I think that is enough to be holding on to for now. To simply understand that there are genuine victims in life, and then for a few very powerful reasons, there are always false victims too, or professional victims even. People who would prefer to remain victims even if they didn't have to be. This is because, in summary, if you're a victim, you get extra love, attention and compassion that ordinarily you would not get. If you're a victim, you get absolved of all responsibility for your behaviour and life outcomes, and therefore, victimhood is an attractive or even an addictive thing. So I'll just leave it there for now, and we'll keep going with this journey in the next video.